Hello, hello, Greg. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
And one topic on the great topics here in G20 meetings is about cryptocurrency. And the OECD has a proposal of the regulamentation of cryptocurrency here. What do you?
Look, I think on cryptocurrencies, what we need is clearly an international discussion about cryptocurrencies or tokens, which is what we've had here today. And I think what's clear is that there's five issues in cryptocurrencies or crypto tokens, because they're not currencies, they're tokens, payment tokens.
Yes.
The first issue, I think, is let's harvest the opportunity and mitigate the risk. So there is clearly a lack of certainty from a regulatory or legal perspective for both the issuers and investors. So that's an issue at the moment, and I think that needs to be clarified. The second thing is that there's clearly, it's global. Okay, so you need global coordination to avoid regulatory arbitrage in this area. So I think that's one of the discussions we've just been having, is we do need global coordination. And frankly, the other issue at the moment is that there is no financial stability risk at the moment. That's been pointed out. But there is three very important risks. One is clearly anti-money laundering, and that is an issue, and I think that needs to be addressed through FATF and coordination. But the second and third big issues is investor protection, consumer protection, where clearly there are frauds, there's lack of basic disclosure for investors, and the other issue is market integrity. You have the hacking of exchanges, etc. So I think on investor protection and markets, clearly that's where OECD, we are interested, because we have the G20 OECD investor protection principles, which is one of our key instruments, but also things like corporate governance. So, but I think it's really important. Governments and regulators need to come together to talk about the best framework for consumer protection in this area. At least that's why the OECD has an interest in this area.
Yes, and what do you think about blockchain technology and all DLT technologies like blockchain or Tango in the case of IOTA?
Well, I think that distributed ledger is the next revolution, or the current revolution. I think it will actually, enable disintermediation of many parts of the value chain, which should result in, from my point of view, cheaper, faster, better products for consumers and investors. That transparency. I think that the peer-to-peer that is enabled through distributed ledger will help faster, will help financial inclusion, the ability to actually reach, the fact that we have mobility now through telephones around the world. You combine that with distributed ledger, you actually see really exciting areas in sort of enabling SMEs to get access to finance, or to consumers who couldn't buy things before are enabled through distributed ledger technology. Supply chains, being able to sort of see the provenance of a product, when you're buying a shirt, to see who actually picked the cotton, for your shirt, and that they were paid fair wages. So it's very exciting, the distributed ledger technology. And again, it's an area that we're embracing at the OECD and thinking about, again, having frameworks that actually, so we have interoperability between countries in terms of distributed ledger. These are really important topics and ones that we're currently exploring.
Do you believe that blockchain technology can give it to government more transparency and more security too?
I think governments will be a major beneficiary of distributed ledger technology, whether it be in voting systems or provision of government services, and these are again areas that the OECD is examining. So if you think about the three big beneficiaries of blockchain technology, one is government services, which is being explored. The second one is in the area of financial services, and the third one is very much in supply chains, and I'm talking global supply chains. And this allows the opening up of supply chains around the world, because what distributed ledger does is three things. One, it allows a secure exchange of value, but secondly, it can allow a secure exchange of data. But thirdly, the one that's not being explored enough at the moment, but will be, is actually, it's a great way of actually having cyber security because of the distributed nature of the nodes. So in the issue of even cyber protection, we're seeing in California them using it in electricity for actually using it for security, not for the other two reasons. So it has massive implications. It will reshape both business and the world economy.
All right. Today there are two great basic blockchain, public blockchain and private blockchain. Do you believe that in the future they work together, or do you believe that governments and institutions can use only blockchain private?
Look, I think that what you'll have is a combination of the two. The one thing you've got to have is, if you're exchanging value, okay, you have to have traceability because of the issue of anti-money laundering and terrorism financing. So, but traceability doesn't mean to say that we can't remain anonymous between two parties, but there's got to be an ability for law enforcement to actually identify the flow of money. So that's where, in fact, I think you have a public-private blockchain in exchange of value. In exchange of data, you can have a private, you don't need to actually have a public-private, you can actually have a private blockchain for transfer of data. So I think in exchange of value, it has to be a level of traceability. Okay, and what you've got to know is that with Bitcoin, for example, you can trace at the moment between IP addresses, so you can trace computer to computer, okay? But what you've got to do is trace from person to person, okay? And that's the missing point at the moment with Bitcoin, is I can trace it to your computer, but I can't necessarily trace it to you. And so the person to person, but that's where exchange of value, it's not the other benefits of blockchain, which is exchange of data or cyber.
Here in Latin America, we have one specific case with blockchain, like this is the Petro.
The Petro coin.
Yes, yeah. Of Venezuela. It's a project with more doubts about it.
I think on asset back, I think the future of these tokenization, it lies, first of all, I think for exchange of value, I think that you have three possibilities. You have central bank issued digital currencies, which I think will happen and will reshape banking. I think secondly, you've got asset-backed payment tokens, such as backed by commodity assets like Petro. I think these could be promising, but it depends where the custody of the reserves are, because the idea is that you can convert the token into the commodity if you need to. Now that is an issue of where is the reserves? Okay, are they held outside? So this has some potential, I think, the asset-backed crypto, or the asset crypto token market. Right. But then there's what I call backed by nothing, which is the Bitcoin, Ethereum, which really is based on a supply-demand algorithm. I'm not sure that this probably is going to be that popular in the future. I think that the evolution of asset-backed, where they're actually backed by something or issued by central banks, I think this is going to be more the way that the future will occur, frankly. But I do think payment tokens, I think, are clearly the ability across borders to transfer money real time is really where the challenge is. And Bitcoin has done that, which allows instant real-time transfer, but you've got to be able to do it quickly and at virtually no cost. And the problem with Bitcoin is that the speed is, I think it's 7 transactions per second versus 165,000. It's not scalable. It uses an enormous amount of energy, so it has limitations. But the wonderful thing is with innovation, people will solve these problems. Okay, so we're on a journey, and I think it's really exciting.
One more question. Do you believe that Lightning Network is a solution of Scalability in Bitcoin?
I think the Lightning solution is one of the ones I'm thinking about, but then you've got Stellar technology. The Stellar solution is another one that is very fast. It's actually faster than the current Visa transaction speeds. So I think that's the point I'm making, is you've got new technologies that are answering the issues of the old technologies, and Lightning Network is one potential solution. But you know, as we speak, there are probably new ones being developed that will. I think though, still the problem with Lightning is you're still left with the problem of the lack of transparency of Bitcoin, which is still a problem as a payment solution. Whereas Stellar is essentially, as you know, is a centralized, a permissioned ledger. So I think Stellar is probably more interesting than Lightning. But Stellar I've been looking at very closely, and it's quite. But again, it's wonderful because people are finding new solutions as we speak. Actually, I gave a speech last week at the Asian Pacific Blockchain Conference, and it's just extraordinary what's happening with innovation in this area, and particularly in countries like China. It's amazing what's happening.
All right, Greg, thank you very much for your attention.
That's good.
In Brazil, the Criptomoedas Fácil is the most important medium of blockchain and cryptocurrency. If you need us, please call.
Well, you know, the beauty for many countries is where you don't have an existing system. For many countries, they are now jumping because they have no legacy. So I think for many countries, this is exciting. It's an ability to catch up very quickly. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Ciao.
Ciao.